Indicators are suggesting the party may be getting started. And a look at last week's top performing cryptos, tweets of the week, an inevitable discussion of the Hawk Tuah meme coin debacle, coins to watch, dates for your diary, and a very important Coin Bureau announcement. This is the Coin Bureau News, live.
GM one and all, and welcome to another episode of the Coin Bureau Weekly News live. And this is the first news show after Bitcoin has hit that hallowed 100k level, which calls for a party. Welcome back, Guy. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. You've been waiting to do that all
I bought
day.
this specifically for the 100k stream. I'm like, this needs to come. And it's real money, guys. It's dirhams.
It's real. It's certainly real money. That's right. Yes. Welcome, everyone. Good to see you. Thank you for joining. It's good to be back as well, I must say.
Welcome back. Yeah.
Back here in the studio. Back here at Coin Bureau HQ.
It feels like home, right?
It does feel like home. It does feel like home.
When you're back at home, you know.
Yeah. It's nice to be where the sun shines.
Yeah,
I can tell you that. Anyway, thanks for joining, everyone. Good to see you. We're celebrating Bitcoin 100k. That huge milestone passed. And we're going to look at how it was reached and what might come next, and of course a whole lot of other stuff besides. So let's dive straight in, shall we? Nick, talk us through this 100k arrival.
100k. So like we spoke about last week and the week before that, there was this sell wall that we had at the 100k level, just psychological sell wall. Lots of sell orders were placed there, and it melted through it like butter. And as you can see by my sophisticated TA over here, the 100k level is defined as the Valhalla level.
Right.
And we broke that level. So we broke through that sell wall like butter, and we reached on the same day an all-time high of 103,000, right?
Beautiful.
So beautiful, right? Now, obviously, that was the big news last week. And what was driving that? Well, obviously, we had strong ETF inflows, but another milestone for the ETFs, actually. The ETFs reached a combined... The ETFs now hold more Bitcoin than Satoshi's wallet.
Is that right?
Yep.
Okay.
So they hold more Bitcoin than Satoshi's wallet.
So
and the BlackRock ETF got over 500k hold over 500k in Bitcoin, yeah.
Okay, so combined, the spot Bitcoin ETFs hold over 1 million BTC, and half of that basically is BlackRock's IBIT.
1.1 something 03, which is slightly more than Satoshi's wallet, yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, I mean, BlackRock, like, I imagine Larry Fink's Christmas card to shareholders, whatever it's going to be, is going to be kind of something of a victory lap.
Yeah, no, it will be. When coming from a skeptic, he used to be a skeptic of Bitcoin just 2 years ago. The benchmark for money laundering. And speaking of gold, so basically last week, Jerome Powell also said that,
Yeah, this was interesting. This was kind of classic Powell, I thought, in a way. Like, he hasn't said an awful lot about crypto, and he sort of, when he does, as I remember, it hasn't been particularly sort of complimentary, but he sort of was quite measured in this, wasn't he? But like, it's kind of hard to interpret what he said as anything but bullish. Yeah,
because Fed speak, this is very understated. Yeah. So in his Fed speak, when he says it could be like a digital gold, it's basically translation from Fed speak. It means LFG, buy Bitcoin right now. If you want to translate.
You're fluent in Fed speak, obviously.
Fluent, so I've studied it. Yeah, exactly, in university.
So that's a completely accurate translation.
Very accurate. That's LFG. That's Crypto Bro translation. It's LFG, buy right now. Bit big.
So much to learn.
You'll get there, guy. Speaking of gold, Bitcoin hit another all-time high last week, but in gold terms.
Okay.
Much to the long regret of Mr. Peter Schiff himself and all the other gold bugs out there. So this is the first time Bitcoin has broken through the all-time high in gold terms since 2021. So in other words, over the past 3-4 years, Bitcoin has outperformed gold.
Surprise. Well, it's one all-time high after another.
There we go.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, though, on Thursday, we had a bit of a drop. Some mass liquidations, right?
Yeah.
So basically, firstly, let's just talk about what happened. We had like a 10% drop, which, to be honest, in percentage terms, isn't massive, right?
No.
But it was but it was massive because of the size of the market cap. So it equaled about a $200 billion drop in 180 seconds.
Okay, so that's over $1 billion a second.
Yeah, just like boom, like that, right? Which to most people who come in first to the space, kind of like, wow, that's shocking. But in Bitcoin percentage terms,
that's kind of it's kind of the ideal introduction, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's like Bitcoin sets reaches this almost unthinkable level and then promptly dumps.
Can you imagine the newbie who bought his first Bitcoin at 100K? It's like his first time ever done. It's a big step for him. I'm buying Bitcoin now. It goes to 103K. He's excited and everything. He's going through all the emotions, and then he sees it crash to 92K.
Yeah, it's like, I've just lost 10%.
I've lost everything. Oh, well, so as long as you didn't use leverage, it's fine because your hodl is important, right? But what caused this crash? Well, obviously there was some profit taken. We have this on-chain chart basically, which was on the screen just a bit earlier, which they can bring. Yeah, so basically you see this is the 30-day change in long-term holders, and we had three. It was there was a 30-day change was the largest drop in terms of the 30-day holder, in terms of the long-term holders in the 30-day sum of long-term holders, and the previous one was back in March and then back in 2021. There was also a bit of FUD around the U.S. government was moving coins last week. So that basically, obviously, the DOJ or the marshals, they have this moved to Coinbase. There was movement that Arkham picked up, obviously caused a bit of FUD. But I think that it was hard to ascertain whether they're actually going to sell or whether this was part. I think this was about 20,000 bitcoins, whether this was part of the agreement that they have with Coinbase around custody, and they were just moving around wallets.
Okay.
So it wasn't confirmed whether they actually selling.
Because there has been speculation, hasn't there, that because Trump has said that he wants to, it's talked about maybe as strategic reserve, but he's also said sort of more concretely, not talked about not selling this Bitcoin. And there is speculation, isn't there, that the outgoing administration might be, trying to spoil the party for them by selling it whilst they still can. Yeah,
that'd be a real dick move. I don't know. Yeah, it could be potentially, irrespective $100,000, such as key psychological barrier that we broke through. I said, we broke through the sell wall, so there's not going to be that many of them left because people would have already have closed out. And now people already think that below 100,000 psychologically, it must be undervalued. So it was getting through that barrier first. Now it's like, now people have readjusted it probably to like the 120K as the next take profit levels.
Yeah. You've got a sense, a scenario perhaps where having been a massive, the ultimate zone of resistance, 100K could turn into a support level.
Yeah, perhaps. Eventually we get back above it, which we need to get back above it, which I will... obviously, we'll get onto now. But it's obviously in terms of headlines as well. It's become a massive talking point. Once we hit that 100K level, it's become, as I said, price of Bitcoin is its best PR agent, right? Yeah. It's just like literally now everyone's talking about it. So that's what's happened last week. So quickly, what's to come? Obviously, tomorrow we'll get onto this in a bit in another story. But we've got the Microsoft vote coming. So Microsoft vote whether they would consider allocating Bitcoin to the balance sheet. So that's exciting. Then from a technical perspective, I'll lend two charts from our Mariano from our Coin Bureau Trading Pro. This is one of them. This is the 4-hour RSI. Okay. We've broken down below that, as you can see the red trend line there. So potentially we could go to a 35 RSI, which would imply about a 94K in Bitcoin, which on the downside. So that's potentially what it's looking like from that level, from that indicator level. However, he did pull up another chart, which is pretty interesting. And it's looking at the setup we have now on the left. Right, breaking through a key 100K psychological level versus what happened in 2020 when you first broke through 20K. And as you can see, they're both pretty similar in terms of their respect in the bottom trend line. It's going in this triangle as well. It's basically reaching the top of the triangle, coming down. And also, what's interesting here, as you can see, is that if you look at the candles, right, it's kind of respected the like I said, the bottom trend line. Mm-hmm. And today's a key point in terms of how this formation will play out, if it's going to play out similarly to 2020. Today we've got a red candle, daily candle, right, at the time of this live stream. If we end above 100K, which is then another green day for 100K, ending the day in the green, then we could potentially continue with this continuation up past 100K. Whereas if we end below 100K and it's a red candle today, it could be a bearish indicator, and then would further point to the RSI indicator where we could go down to 94K where there's liquidity hunting taking place. But I will obviously, I'm not doing the full charts justice. I will definitely refer you guys to subscribe to Coin Bureau Trading, where Mariano is one of our traders. We've also got two other traders there. Dan, head of research, and Aaron Moon and Papa. And they do lives, they do updates, daily market updates, altcoins, Bitcoin, deep dives into trading analysis. So check it out, subscribe. You can also check out the QR code over there. If you want to sign up.
Over there. Yeah. Do check out Coin Bureau Trading. Those guys are smart. They're doing some great work over there. Okay, let's move on then. Let's talk about, there are a couple of new crypto main characters in town. coming into the narrative. So Donald Trump obviously has. There's been a lot of speculation around, first of all, who he would appoint as his SEC chair. We've speculated a bit about it on this show in the past, but the news came through that he has nominated Paul Atkins.
Yeah, did you know of him before? Have you heard of him before?
I'd heard the name, but I didn't really. I think I'd seen the name sort of mentioned as a possible, but I didn't really know much about him.
Yeah, so he was the SEC head just before the great financial crisis. So
okay, interesting. Interesting time.
Interesting timing. But no, he's generally viewed across the crypto space, at least, that he's more obviously deregulations kind of guy, which is potentially good. But in terms of the crypto space, there's a lot of industry professionals who think that it would be a good pick, it will obviously help. It will help potentially lead to an altcoin rally because many of the enforcement actions that are currently there will slowly go away. An interesting fun fact: the SEC initiated 104 lawsuits against industry firms between 2021 and 2023.
Wow!
So it's crazy. And he also, funnily enough, was an advisor to a cryptocurrency project.
Now was this the one that went absolutely bananas on the news?
RSR.
Reserve rights. Okay.
It's like an OG play. That's 2019. It was like one of the first stable coins. Like the goal was very cool. I don't know if we covered it. I'll have to double check. We cover a lot of stuff. But it was the idea of becoming like this global stable coin as well, like a reserve asset. And this RSR is like a token as well that's utilized within it as a governance and as collateral as well. It gained 166% on the day.
I mean, that's the most crypto thing, isn't it? Because what impact would this guy? I mean, he used to be an advisor, right?
He's probably just going to go. My first act as SEC chair, I will now issue an S1 for the RSR token. It can list immediately on the New York Stock Exchange.
Maybe that was his end game all along.
Maybe he's a whale and he holds all the RSR tokens. Yeah. He's just going to bag that stuff.
He's just been waiting for his moment. I mean, this is really interesting, and I guess we need to sort of we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves because Gary Gensler back in the day was seen as perhaps a positive force,
that's true.
Especially because he seemed to know so much about crypto. So I guess until Paul Atkins is in place and we kind of see what his MO is going to be, we can't really know for sure. But I mean, I guess even if he wasn't crypto inclined, even if he wasn't sort of pro crypto, he's over the last 4 years he's had a perfectly clear demonstration about how not to do it. I don't think anyone can say that Gary Gensler's time at the SEC has been a success. Obviously, no one in crypto would say that, but when you consider the hundreds of millions of taxpayer dollars that have been burned, the damage that's been done to the agency's reputation.
He's got a step-by-step plan how to destroy your own and the agency's credibility. Follow this guide.
Yeah.
He's probably going to leave that in the desk,
Yeah. So,
what not to do, what to do. What to do.
I think Paul Atkins, he knows how not to do it. Now, obviously, he's done the job before, and from what I understand, he's sort of fairly, kind of light touch when it comes to regulation, which is what we want to see, I guess. I mean, really, what we want is someone who is interested enough in the industry, to look at passing rules that I think we need some regulation, don't we? But rules that allow the industry to grow. Without constraining it. Just rules, right? Or just the guidelines, or just something that is written down to tell us what to do. Don't give this constant regulation by enforcement. We don't know what you want us to do. But there was another interesting announcement last week in terms of appointments, and this was Trump's Crypto Czar. Yeah, so this is AI in Crypto Czar. Yeah. This is the White House AI in Crypto Czar, a new role that Donald Trump has created. So this is going to be, you would imagine, a kind of direct line from the AI and crypto sectors to the president, to the White House.
Powerful position,
yeah. Yeah, and just the fact alone that this position has been created is incredibly bullish, and it kind of, it says everything about what the administration's attitude towards these two sort of transformative technologies is. And the role has gone to David Sachs. Who is a well-known figure within the sort of crypto and tech industries in general.
Yeah, the host of the All In podcast, the bestie, the best, they call themselves the besties, with him and Jason and Chamath. He's also a big part of the PayPal mafia, a big VC in the Valley, Craft Ventures, I think. He's also one of the, I think he's a big LP to Multicoin. Multicoin is basically a big VC fund in the crypto space. He's also, the tweet that was just on the screen there right now, he's also a big holder of Sol, apparently, either through the LP positions in Multicoin or by himself, but he's basically confirmed this himself. So, if he holds all that stacks, and he's a Solana whale, potentially good. And then also, if you want to put your, tinfoil hat on, he's a PayPal ex-PayPal executive, potentially PayPal's PYUSD utilizing Solana as payments narrative, potentially. But look, so I think I think he's a good pick. I mean, there was the question is now what happens with the other people that potentially were talking about roles. The likes of Brad Garlinghouse, Charles Hoskinson, Brian Armstrong. Are they getting roles? Are they going to have are they going to be able to speak with David in terms of other policies potentially? How is this going to play out? It's really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I guess this is a role being so new. You would imagine that that David Sachs is going to have some degree of, a fairly large degree of influence over what form this role takes. How he works. Does he have a kind of advisory council that he goes to of industry figures? Does he kind of go on?
Just him, Elon, and Howard Lutnick in a room, playing poker and deciding rules.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
That would to be a fly on the wall there.
Yeah.
Okay. Talking of the PayPal mafia and sort of corporate America in general, we should move on to our next topic. But before we do that, we have to remind you. Sorry, I have to dig this sign out from underneath all the money that Nick's fired around. Subscribe, like,
and hit that bell as well. It'd be mighty swell.
Exactly.
There we go.
Exactly.
Cool.
So, let's talk about corporate accumulation. There are a few familiar names going to crop up here.
Indeed. So obviously, first one goes to MicroStrategy, obviously, and we've got this chart here, which I pulled from K33 Research last week. Look at that accumulation.
Oh,
boom,
beautiful.
400, especially over the past 2 weeks or so. Saylor has just been accumulating, and also look at MicroStrategy compared to the other public companies that have got Bitcoin in their balance sheet.
Wow,
it's just literally Goliath.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting. So MicroStrategy is continuing the accumulation, and actually last week, at about the same time we started the stream, exactly the same time we started the stream, Saint Saylor bought some more Bitcoin.
He did, yeah.
And I don't think that's a coincidence.
Those two incidents are definitely related.
It's happened twice now. It's happened twice now. Yeah. Statistically, that's very difficult to have. Statistically, it doesn't make sense. So I'm just like backing out here, implying potentially, he watches the stream and he sees the Bitcoin analysis we do, and he's like, okay, I'm bullish.
You're welcome, Michael. You're welcome. Keep doing what you do.
But here, of course, MicroStrategy wasn't the only company that accumulated last week. We had news from Marathon Digital. I think they're the second biggest accumulating company right now. Yeah. And they follow in a similar playbook. They're issuing zero interest convertible debt. So last week, there's 850 million of convertible debt due 2026, convertible, obviously, that they can be converted into equity, and zero interest. So, there's no interest on these bonds that they're using to buy Bitcoin with. And then, of course, follows on. They also have a broader plan to issue again another 700 million in zero interest convertible senior notes to again buy more Bitcoin. So Marathon is just accumulating like crazy.
So I mean, this is the MicroStrategy playbook.
Similarly, yeah, exactly. If your equity is trading at MicroStrategy is a bit different because MicroStrategy's underlying businesses, I don't know what the value is there, whereas a mining business has got a mining business. But if your net asset value, basically, in the case of MicroStrategy, when the value of your Bitcoin, when the value of your equity, like your market value, is way more than your net asset value, it makes sense to just issue more equity. Yeah. Because it's like the market's valuing more, so I'm using this equity to buy more Bitcoin. But we'll get to that in a bit, because tomorrow, obviously, as I mentioned in the beginning, Microsoft is voting, right?
That's right.
So this is a big vote. It's going to be, the board is recommended to vote against it. Saylor has reached out to Satya. They're like, okay, let's talk, bro. Let's talk man to man. Let's talk about this.
I wonder if Saylor will be in that, if that conversation happens or has happened. Do you think he'd be going for just go for 1 to 5% or something like that, or do you think he'd be like, no, just the whole
he'll be giving that. He'll give him the basic experience. That famous clip of his, take your house, put it on a mortgage. It's like cyber hornets, He'll probably do that. I'm telling you, but. Anyways, if they vote in favor, it could be a massive catalyst for Bitcoin, could take it above 100K. I think if it does as well, I mean, first of all, they're exploring it, right? So there's a few steps after that. So let's clarify that. It's not like, here they vote yes, now we're going to go and immediately allocate. Like, there's going to be steps after that. But if other companies follow suit, that could be big because it's the first step. It's like the Overton window shifting in terms of what's known for tech companies with all these massive cash balances. If Microsoft, one of the most esteemed tech companies there is, considers doing this, what about the likes of Apple, Amazon? And speaking of Amazon, there's another proposal that came just yesterday from the National Center of Public Research, has submitted a shareholder proposal to Amazon for the consideration of adding Bitcoin to their balance sheet as well.
Yeah.
Crazy, right? The amount of capital that's cash that's on Amazon's balance sheet.
Yeah, and of course, like these companies, the likes of Microsoft, Apple, etc., all these other tech companies, they wouldn't need to to go full MicroStrategy in order for this to be massively bullish for Bitcoin. I mean, even if they allocate, something between 1% and 5%, like I mentioned
100%.
earlier, like that is billions of dollars. These guys are sitting on so much cash. It's
Billions.
unbelievable.
Polymarket bettors have the odds, unfortunately. Well, I mean, they have it at like 50. To be honest, I think the odds are reasonable. We'll bring the odds onto the screen now. Okay, the odds aren't there. So I want to point now to also another point. There's Jeff Park. So basically, I interviewed him for the memecoin Bureau clip, and he's got a Substack. And he was talking in that, I'll get to that interview in a sec, but he was talking quite a lot about, he did a blog post on his Substack about the golden armor for the modern balance sheet. And he made the argument about why Bitcoin is such a strategic asset to have in your balance sheet. First, your point you make around such a small allocation. If a company like Microsoft, right, instead of just having everything in cash and T-bills, if they allocate just 5% to Bitcoin, right, over 3 years, they would have about a 3 to 4% uplift in the returns they got on their T-bills, right? So that's in terms of the returns they could get over a 3-year period. Over a 5-year period, that would have boosted returns, which you would have got from the T-bills, they would have got about 2% annually to 6 to 8%, right, guys? Over 10 years, that's a 8 to 10% versus the average of 2% over their T-bills. So just even just a small allocation like that, they have that much more of an uplift in their returns compared to what they would be getting on holding T-bills. So that's the one argument. It's like even a small allocation, you're creating like value for your shareholders because this is for your balance sheet. You're generating value on your balance sheet. And one other point he did make, which is really interesting as well, is if you are a company that's accumulating an asset like Bitcoin that's very volatile, known to be very volatile, and also known to melt up very aggressively, as opposed to many other assets don't melt up as quickly as Bitcoin does. We've seen this all. You create a disincentive for short sellers to short your shares.
Okay.
Because it's an idiosyncratic risk that sometimes pops up that you have no control over. So if you like the likes of a Citron Research or like any of these big guys that have Melbourne Capital, these guys have done these things in the past with equities that destroy companies sometimes, right?
Yeah.
If you're doing this something like Bitcoin and Bitcoin melts up, it's going to completely liquidate the living shit out of you. And it also increases the cost of shorting because it's a volatile equity. You know, actually, the cost to go and place these positions. So it's really interesting. I actually will recommend you guys go and check out that interview. Look, to be fair, Jeff is like a gigabrains, right? And he thinks in the second derivatives, right? He's like he's an options guy. But it's a very interesting conversation. The nuances of capital structure, MicroStrategy, and much more about that as well. So we'll link to that as well below for you guys. And one more thing which we also did touch on is MicroStrategy could be included into the NASDAQ 100.
Okay, now that would be big.
That would be big.
That would be big because, well, if MicroStrategy goes into the NASDAQ 100, then all these indices funds have to go out and buy MSTR, right?
Exactly. All the passive index funds have to go out there and buy it to put it into their fund. So it's like that will be another bullish catalyst, which drives MicroStrategy shares up. The NAV, the discount, the premium over NAV goes up. What does Sailor do? He's like, oh, well, that's a nice premium over there. Maybe I should just go and continue issuing out some equity. Obviously, he goes to the equity, or goes to the debt component, and he just keeps on buying more and more Bitcoin. And that's why Jeff is one of the predictions he's made, I think, is like MicroStrategy could become bigger than the ETFs if the equity if investors, like particularly like especially the credit investors, right? The credits, hedge funds, and all that. It's like there's a nuance here, and the bonds of MicroStrategy, these zero interest coupons, like zero bonds, are doing extremely well. People are bidding them because they're like clamoring over themselves to get hold of it, which is crazy.
Do you think Sailor lies in bed at night, sort of just kind of running the numbers and just being like, I can't believe BlackRock's got 500,000.
Yeah,
I've only got 400. I've only got 400,000.
Yeah, I don't care. It's the fact that it's for their. I don't care that it's not BlackRock. Actually, it's all their holders. I still want to have all of their Bitcoin. You know. Yeah.
Yeah.
He wants to overtake Satoshi.
He's a man on a mission.
He's a man on a mission.
Yeah.
You know. I mean, to be honest, let's see how things go because as long as there is this premium,
Yeah.
Keep on going, man.
What a hell of a trade.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a brief interlude now to have a look at this week's Wall of Shame. It's the moment you've all been waiting for. The countries that were the least well represented in last week's live stream, and I'm sorry to say, Nick, we have a repeat offender in the form of El Salvador. El Salvador, minimal numbers of viewers of last week's stream. That's 2 weeks on the spin. So that is very disappointing.
Very disappointing. Bitcoin adoption is not going too well there.
No, I mean, we need to have a word with El Presidente about that. But if anything, I'm even more disappointed with Barbados. I made a special visit to Barbados in the summer.
I've been to Barbados as well, yeah. That's crazy. And
beautiful place,
Grenada
wonderful
as well.
people.
Another place in the Caribbean, right? So
what are those guys doing?
Is there a hurricane that you guys can't live onto your internet? Like maybe there's a hurricane season. No, it's not hurricane. Hurricane season was earlier.
I think so. I think they're just they're just
or maybe
just
they
not
saw
watching
guy,
in numbers.
Or maybe the local Barbados chap saw Guy and his mates on his cricket tour, basically getting
what
and like tearing up the town, like, oh, these Brits, you know.
We're not watching.
And then they watch it go on YouTube. They see, damn, didn't I see that guy at the bar the one time? And
Wasn't
he's
that
like,
idiot wandering around the cricket with a beer in his hand? We're not going to watch that. Well, Barbados, up your game, please. Up your game. Okay, let's move on to altcoin season, because this is the question. This is the question on everyone's lips.
Mind.
Are we in altcoin season? When altcoin season? There are a few indicators that suggest that altcoin season could be dawning.
Yep.
Not least Mr. Ben Cowan's favourite indicator, which is, of course, Bitcoin dominance.
BTCD.
This is starting to fall.
Yeah.
And fall noticeably.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So it did rally a little bit when we broke above the 100K. Obviously, Bitcoin was rallying, but it's come down again. And obviously, Bitcoin dominance is the ratio of Bitcoin to the broader altcoin space, right? So that's an emblematic that shows that the alts are outperforming right now. One of those for sure is ETH, right? Now, ETH has been flying last week. You know, congrats to the ETH holders, the long-suffering ETH holders yourself. Broke above 4K for the first of all. Let's start with the ETF flows. They broke above. There was actually more ETF flows into Ethereum ETFs last week than there were Bitcoin. 1 billion. We can get the ETF. There we go. So 1 billion. That's over the 5 days last week. So 1 billion into ETF. Potentially ETF investors who were previously into Bitcoin could be rotated into ETH.
Yeah.
So that's interesting to see. ETH, of course, broke through those yearly highs of 4,000. Of course, we haven't zoomed out on that chart there, Guy, but, you know.
Don't zoom out.
Don't zoom out.
I mean, there's a couple of explanations, aren't there? Because on the one hand, they kind of both around this 100K level for Bitcoin, aren't they? Because on the one hand, there might be investors going, 100K, too expensive. But what? Oh, hang on. There's other cryptos here. Oh, there's another one with a spot ETF. This Ethereum thing. So that could be one reason for it. And the other reason, of course, being we could be seeing some rotation. People taking some massive profits on BTC and rolling them into the next.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. And the Altcoin season, another index which just gives the Altcoin season index. It's a well-known indicator. We're in Altcoin season, so that's another proof and confirmation. Also in the Altcoin, in the perp space, the perpetual space. So I did a tweet here where basically you'll see the that's a heat map of the perpetual futures funding rate on for all the entire crypto space. And back in March, it was still way harder, right? Still much higher in terms of perp funding rates, although. It's starting to heat up now, specifically again, and we're all starting to see a recovery in search trend traffic, specifically for the likes of Cardano and XRP. And XRP's actually shot up because of last week's XRP rally. So retail is slowly trickling back in, and they bid in these altcoins that they bought the previous cycle. Right? We know of this, right? We've talked about this. These coins of previous cycles, the likes of XRP, which last week did very well. We did a video on that. Although there are some factors and things that are coming with Ripple right now. I mean, for one is the Ripple RLUSD. Still hasn't launched yet, but there's excitement around that. ETFs. Brad Golenhouse was apparently on 60 Minutes.
Is that right? Yeah, I missed that.
I think some people said it wasn't too overwhelming in terms of like, you know, it was underwhelming in terms of like the what was said within that interview.
Right.
But there's also what we covered in the Ripple review you guys, or the XRP review you guys can see on the main channel. There's other stuff there as well. There's the EVM compatibility that they're going to build for Ripple to develop other things within the ecosystem. So there's that. But that I think that a large component of why it rallied wasn't because there's something specifically that happened, but it's because people that came back into the space, they realized, they remember XRP, they're interested in the narrative, they're interested in the use cases or potential use cases or potential opportunity that could present with Ripple freed from the SEC. And if XRP is going to be utilized within this broader XRP, with this Ripple ecosystem, HBAR has also done very well.
Yeah. Algo as well. I mean, it's been. I mean, we talked about this at length on the last stream, didn't we? But there has been this rotation, or certainly there has been what looks like tourists coming back and sort of aping into what they're familiar with. Because I think it's so easy for us to forget. Having been in the crypto trenches for a long time now, and all throughout this cycle, we're so fixated on all these new and kind of shiny new projects that have come along, that I think a lot of us sort of we've kind of lost sight a little bit of some of these older projects. But
yeah, exactly.
People who have just kind of rechecked in or have been sort of only paying vaguest of attention over the last few years, this is what they know. Yeah. These are the projects they're familiar with. These are the names that they've heard before. These are the tickers that they're seeing on their exchange app feed. So,
and also, to be honest, the extent of this concept of tokenized attention in the memecoin space, and people talking about tokenized attention, the concept of like wanting to build projects that people believe in. Like, there's no doubt in that the people who believe in the likes of XRP or HBAR in terms of what they're trying to build, right? People are bidding it not because obviously everyone wants to make money in the crypto space eventually in some way capacity, but people who build in these projects actually believe that these guys will, they're building something exciting for the ecosystem, and that's created this attention people are focusing on in social media. Obviously, everyone's now talking about XRP. It's like one of the biggest trending coins on TikTok. It's and all these other Gen Z social media platforms. But it's because it's one of these things where people like the story behind these cryptocurrencies as well. And even speaking of things that are picking up, NFTs, man.
NFTs, how about that? NFTs are back. That must be a sign of some description.
Yeah, I mean, floors are picking up for the crypto punks and BAY and the Bored Apes. So the long-suffering NFT holders finally.
Those guys, those guys who have hodled through all this, they deserve a break. This is their moment. And I saw earlier actually. I think the Block reported that Pudgy Penguins has just flipped the Bored Ape Yacht Club to become the second largest collection after the Crypto Punks.
They've done a lot of good stuff. That Pudgy Penguin as a NFT issuer, they've also issued a token last week.
They're everywhere.
Yeah,
they're everywhere.
Yeah, so they're doing very well for them. They're doing well as an NFT collection for sure.
Yeah. Just before we move on, going back very briefly to XRP, I should mention that one of the we're going to cover for our Coin Bureau Club members next week. We've just opened the poll for it on the Coin Bureau Club website. We've got 4 XRP ecosystem projects up for the vote.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
okay, cool.
So they get to choose between and like anyone watching, I'd be interested to hear whether you're familiar with any of these projects. So the options are Sologenic, Corium, Elysian, and Equilibrium Games.
Wow.
So
that's on the all XRP ecosystem players.
Yeah, and this is interesting because Dan, our head of research and stuff, him and I have been sort of going back and forth a bit over the last few days, just because we've been talking a lot about this XRP rally and what might be behind it and stuff. And he's been sort of looking quite deeply into the XRP ecosystem. And as people search for, that could be one to explore as people search for beta plays on XRP.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
And people look sort of deeper into the technology. I know a lot of people have kind of been diving back into the Ripple, into the XRP ledger.
Especially if it's built on, but especially if it's built on this EVM compatible side chain, basically, where it's easy for people to develop because they know it's EVM compatible, right? So they're not bringing more people to want to come and develop on XRP.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So I think there's a lot to explore there, and our Coin Bureau Club members will be voting. So we'll let you know next week which one they pick.
And of course, if you're not a subscriber to the Coin Bureau Club, well, first question, why? And secondly,
when?
You when? Exactly. So we'll leave a link to it below.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, before we move on to our kind of tweets of the week and top gainers, etc., there is another altcoin project that we unfortunately need to talk about.
Do we, guys? Do we really?
We really do need to talk about it, Nick. We have to talk about Hawk Tuah, y'all.
Hawk Tuah.
Yeah. So, yeah, as you can see,
Hayley
that
Welch.
blizzard of headlines there. This is Hayley Welch, the Hawk Tuah girl.
Wait, guy, for the people who just watched, who've heard about Hawk Tuah for the first
Don't
time,
ask me to.
please, you need to just tell them exactly what. So that for the new viewers who've never heard of Hawk Tuah before, can you please describe exactly what Hawk Tuah is, what it refers to?
Nick, I am willing to bet you that fine velvet suit you're wearing, that everyone watching this knows precisely who Hayley Welch, the Hawk Tuah girl, is. What's been quite funny actually is you see all those headlines that we brought up. You know, this is all mainstream media, by the way. None of these are crypto media headlines, but everyone is quite funny because each story has to start by explaining to its readers who the Hawk Tuah girl is, and the sort of the verbal gymnastics that they have to do to sort of, you know, it's like me. I think one of them describes it as the girl who made an off-color reference. On TikTok.
A PG, exactly. Well, it's not a PG-13 description of it. Yes.
Yeah.
Imagine the kid comes in his mom's room. Mom, what is the Hawk Tuah girl? What exactly is? What is?
Son, tell me about Hawk Tuah. I don't understand. But as you can see from all those headlines, this is something like, you know, Bitcoin going to 100K. That got some mainstream media coverage. Sure, a lot of it was a little bit snarky, but I tell you what, they went absolutely batshit crazy for Hawk Tuah girl and the failure of her meme coin. So obviously, yeah, as you can imagine,
Bro,
if you
even
didn't
the
already,
Times of India, man. The Times of India, geopolitical stuff, this, man.
Yeah,
this is geopolitical, groundbreaking news.
imagine being the Times of
Who
India
cares
writer.
what goes on in Syria, guys? What happened to the Hawk
Imagine being the Times of India writer having to explain who Hawk Tuah is. Yeah, you know, they went absolutely nuts for it. This is all a lot of, you know, all the crypto-related stuff that a lot of people have been talking about. So to hell with Bitcoin getting to 100K. But yeah, this is the story. She launched a meme coin, her and her team, and I think team is the operative
Jesus, you
word
got to listen
there.
to that space, guys. That was the most.
That was wild, wasn't it? Where she was on with this weirdo guy from her team, and then
Doc Hollywood. It's
CoffeeZilla.
called Doc Hollywood.
Doc Hollywood. Great name.
But
yeah, CoffeeZilla really hauled them over the
he
coals.
did. I feel it's very unfortunate though, because you know I think that she was the one. She was actually, and I remember when after she tried to turn this meme into a good thing, right? Like obviously it's like a farcical meme, like this whole concept what she became famous for. But she's basically hired a PR agency. She grew a social media platform massive. She was on podcasts. She's
got her own podcast.
She got exactly right. And
Hawk Tuah.
Why? Jesus. But why? Yeah, I just don't understand it. Like it's like some celebrities are drawn to crypto scams like moth to a flame, because there was not just this. Remember, we had like earlier this year celeb meme coins, the likes of Jason and all this other stuff, and what else was there?
Caitlyn Jenner.
And I mean, it's even back in the day when you had like the Ethereum Max going and launching through the likes of Kim Kardashian and Floyd Mayweather, like people literally who have hundreds of millions. I don't, you know.
Yeah, I think you know, Hayley Welch, obviously pretty young. I think has probably been very badly advised here. The launch didn't go well. There were accusations that insiders were dumping. I think there was a lot of sniping going on, and also
the fees are very high.
Yeah, there was a fee. So I think they collected a fee for every transaction. So it stank really, and it didn't go well. And like, you know, this is a big blow to her reputation. So, of all the many and various celebrities who are no doubt watching this stream, if you're thinking about releasing your own meme coin, just don't. Okay, because you don't get your reputation back. And I think it's I think it's a bit of a shame, because as you said, she was doing a damn good job of making the most of her 15 minutes of fame, which you can't begrudge her that.
No, she wasn't, man. She was also like doing cool, like, you know, charitable stuff, going out, and was like, you know, wow, someone's actually made something good of this. I was like, oh, come on, why? But anyways,
CoffeeZilla as well. There was a Cointelegraph article that that was reporting on him as well. Like, he obviously took them to task on this X space that they did, but he was also sort of pointing out, and credit to him, that there was a lot of misinformation flying around about this. Like, it wasn't it wasn't a hundreds of millions of dollar launch. She didn't walk away with $50 million or whatever it was. Like, it was a lot smaller and grubbier than that. But nevertheless, it was an absolute disaster. But I think really that the annoying thing about this is, as I said, like, it's kind of gotten more mind share from people outside of crypto than the much more important story of Bitcoin getting to 100K has managed to get. But also, I just think it's, and there was a CoinDesk article that you found as well that was talking about this, and how it kind of this is what people outside of crypto were talking about, but it's just so bad for the reputation of the whole space because it just associates it just kind of stains the whole industry with this whole sort of meme coin grift.
Yeah, it is unfortunate. What can you do, man? It's like people just need to try and discern for themselves that the scams will happen wherever, man.
Yeah. So that is the Hawk Tuah disaster.
You should do the voiceover intro for her podcast.
Well, hey, I'm not associating myself with it. If she'd asked a couple of weeks ago, I'd have done it. But ever since the meme coin, sorry, Haley, it ain't happening. All right, let's move on. Rather than talking about disastrous, crappy meme coins, let's talk about a couple of coins to watch.
Exactly. So the two really important updates for some big projects here. So one is December 12th. Kronos. So this is the proprietary chain of Crypto.com. Well, not proprietary like the exchange chain, but they're basically Crow, right? So they've got this upcoming record, the Paline upgrade. So it's going to basically introduce parallel transaction processing, boosting network capacity to up to 60,000 transactions per second. We'll leverage Cosmos's SDK, common to BFT, so it basically will enable interchain access via accounts via IBC, the Inter-Blockchain Communication Protocol. And it also establishes some foundation for Web3 applications requiring ultra-fast transaction speed. So this is really exciting, potentially a bullish catalyst for Kronos chain. And Crow has been doing very well in the past few
years. Absolutely shot the lights out, didn't it?
Yeah.
So Crypto.com has seen a heck of a lot of volume. I think they're really not dominating the spot market out in the US, but certainly doing very well. So that's Crow, CRO. That's one to watch. The other one is Avalanche. Now, we did talk about Avalanche and AVAX a few weeks ago because they are having this Avalanche 9000 upgrade, which didn't sort of really move the needle very much. No. However, the Etna upgrade is incoming on the 16th of December, so next week. And we'll talk us through this, Nick, because this is reinventing the concept of subnets.
Yeah,
right?
So basically replaces subnets with independent layer 1 blockchains. So you can offer a distinct validator sets and customizable staking, gas tokens, and governance. So basically, the validators no longer need to stake through the primary network, right? So basically, it's kind of like you can create way more customized layer 1 blockchains for your own, use cases, be it permissioned, permissionless types of chains. So permission for like enterprise blockchains, they want to issue RWAs or permissionless for GameFi, etc. And it will they'll operate independently and avoiding the performance issues that they'll need to refer back to the primary mainnet, my primary network, and the congestion factors that come with that. But also another important factor is they're replacing the 2000, previously the 2000 AVAX requirement.
Yes.
Yeah, so that was obviously quite expensive, right, to be able to run a subnet. So now they're replacing that with monthly fees that we paid for interoperability between the main chain for these subnet, or not subnets now, they're basically called independent layer 1s. So it'll be interesting to see long-term what effect this will have on the tokenomics aspect of it. But if they are creating more use cases for the AVAX, it's kind of like, analogous to a certain degree what went on with Cosmos. You got the Cosmos.
Yeah, this kind of idea of a kind of off the peg layer 1.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so we're interested to see what happens there. But yeah, that's a big upgrade. So keep it in your calendars, guys. December 16th.
Okay, watch out for that. So Avalanche and AVAX, another one to watch out for in the coming week. Okay, let's move on. Let's have a look at last week's top gainers. This was an interesting list.
MogCoin.
MogCoin,
yes.
MogCoin has featured in our top gainers list a number of times before. Their social media game is
on point,
strong.
Man. Yeah,
it's strong.
I'm surprised they haven't sent us their cool Mog glasses yet. I'm surprised.
Yeah, well, I was looking on their Twitter account earlier, and they now have like a Mog head that you can wear. Someone was DJing it.
It's kind of like a dead mouse kind of like thing.
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be cool.
I'd have one of those.
Could you wear it in a live stream? Would you wear it in a live stream?
Yeah. I mean, it would probably be an improvement on this.
Guys, in the Mog community, if you send Guy one of those things, we'll make sure he wears it in a live stream.
That will be.
Doesn't matter how hot it gets, bro. You got to go through.
That will be a new low in dignity terms. But I think Mog's the real reason Mog has done well this week is because it listed on Coinbase.
Yeah, we go.
There you are. That always helps, doesn't it?
Yeah. Another one is Curve CRV. So this is the governance token, and its resurgence, also part of this DeFi resurgence narrative, but also because SCRV USD was a yield-bearing version of Curve's native stablecoin. So kind of like this USD kind of concept with all these other yield-bearing stablecoins. It was introduced last week, and the amount of CRVs being staked has doubled since then. So that's obviously a massive catalyst there.
There you are.
Yeah.
So that's CRV. Next on the list is the BitGet token, BGB. Well, I mean, this is a fairly straightforward one. BitGet's been doing a lot of volume recently. They've introduced a lot of features recently, BitGet. They've got around over 20 million users now in over 100 countries, and they are obviously bidding, getting busy on that exchange.
Okay, interesting.
So good for them. I chatted with the guy CH who does a lot of their YouTube content and stuff. He's a really good guy actually.
Okay,
Met him
cool.
recently
Nice.
again. So that's BitGet's BJB. BGB, I should say. What's next, Nick?
memecoin. I recently partnered with IOTEX. IOTEX, the last time I saw that was 2021 cycle, man.
Okay.
That was the whole deepen. I think it was deepen. At that stage, it was like the whole IoT was kind of like, that's why IOTEX comes from, right?
Yeah.
But they apparently bring in Deepen to Japan, apparently, with this partnership.
Okay.
So if you bullish on the Deepen narrative, maybe memecoin.
Well, yeah, so IOTEX obviously is kind of, it was deep in before deep in was fashionable.
Yeah.
But it was Internet of Things back then, wasn't it?
It was IoT, exactly. Yeah. IOTA. Speaking of IoTA, that's another reason why IOTA was the original IoT thing. Yeah.
Internet of Things is basically rebranded to Deepin. Right.
Yeah.
Am I to understand that?
Yeah, yeah. Originally in those days, it was your fridge could be able to order on a blockchain the food that was needed. That's what it was.
That was going to be it.
That was IoT. Yeah, yeah. That was the tangle. Yeah.
Okay, so that's memecoin, and last but not least, we have DYDX. Now, DYDX has obviously seen again, kind of benefiting from the uplift to DeFi in general, and has seen a lot of increased trading volumes. But actually, interestingly, when I dug into this a little bit, I found that this is David Sachs. Because David Sachs, as Nick I think mentioned, is a co-founder and partner of Craft Ventures. That's his Craft profile up on the screen there, which just so happens to be a major investor in DYDX.
So it makes sense.
So yeah, I thought that was rather interesting. It's funny what you find when you dig a little bit and sort of see why these things are happening.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Dates for the diary.
Dates for the diary. Only really one big important date from a macro perspective. Wednesday the 11th, we've got CPI numbers. 2.7 forecasted versus 2.6. This is obviously US CPI because the US is the economic variables in the US the most important, at least from what it drives economic policy or Fed policy. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, the core CPI as well is coming out 3.3 versus 3.3 previous. So that's not going to be much there. Obviously, watch how it comes in versus expected because that's what drives the markets. Last week we had the NFP was pretty good, but I think that the markets are pretty much pricing in a certain 85% chance for Fed another 25 basis points cut in December, which could be bullish for risk assets, I suppose. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's pretty much in line with where the glide path is going for inflation.
Yeah. Another FOMC meeting, that's on the 18th, right?
18th,
just over, a little over a week away. Do you remember not so long ago, when we were really in the bear market, like FOMC meetings were basically the only thing we could get excited about.
It's exciting, yeah. Now it's basically like it was the only thing to look forward to. Like set your calendars, guys. Pass in the Fed's like speech and everything, and now it's basically like, man, that old man, just say what you need to say, man.
Yeah.
Tell us a number. Give us a number. I ain't reading all of that. I'm sad it happened, but glad for you. Just give me the number. What's the number, bro?
Yeah. Yeah. Thank God we've got other things to get excited about now. All right. Let's have a look at what you see on the screen there. That's the odds for, what is it, 25 basis points
is 87% of target rate probabilities for 25 cut.
All right, let's have a look then at tweets of the week. We've got an interesting selection for you this time. Well, we always do.
We always do,
but let's start off with this one. Nick, this is one you found.
I found it right now. I was like, this is hilarious.
You
the video, guys. You have to watch the video. But it's like basically this guy's traveling, like and he's in Afghanistan, I think, and he speaks to this guy there, part of the Taliban, and he trades Pepe. No, not Pepe. He trades SHIB and a few other meme coins. It's like, wow, okay, so the Taliban is trading meme coins.
That is wild.
Man,
I'm pretty sure that's haram as well.
Is it? Really?
Yeah.
Okay, well, you would know this, right?
We did this video on Islamic finance, which is a really interesting one to do. I think it's certain.
Why are meme coins?
Certain meme coin. Oh, that's
interest. There's no interest-bearing component, right? So
that's true. That's true. It's a fairly deep rabbit hole. But maybe you imagine the Taliban are kind of fairly up to date on their on their Islamic doctrine. So maybe Shib and Doge aren't haram. Maybe they're halal. But okay, so that's an interesting one to pick. Taliban are trading meme coins. We are
adoption, people. This is what we're talking about.
I was going to say we're truly living in a simulation, but yeah, this is what mass adoption looks like.
It doesn't matter who it is, bro.
Yeah, not what we expected.
North Koreans doesn't matter, man. It's
North Koreans and the Taliban. Let's see.
Al-Qaeda's going to jump in as well. Start going along.
Yeah. Let's see how many other buzzwords we can utter to get YouTube to ban us. All right, let's move on. This one from Representative Mike Collins.
Jesus, hilarious.
So this is another further evidence of the fact that we're living in a simulation. So it was announced that he had or Unusual Whales.
He bought like $15,000 of Aero and $15,000 of ski mask dog crypto.
Wow.
Unusual. And the guy basically goes and tweets. A Fed Pepe. It's like
I like him.
I mean, bro, yeah, fucking hilarious, man.
A congressman tweeting a Fed Pepe.
You go, sir. You go.
Yeah.
This is it. We're talking about.
Do your thing.
Talk about a regulatory change, man. Legislative change. Talk about it. This guy's voting on policy for crypto, and he's a fucking holder of.
Love to see it. Okay, next up is our friend Hayley Welsh. This is a tweet of the week just because this is the launch of her terrible meme coin.
Yeah, exactly.
What more?
Basically, obviously, community posted strongly. 96% of token supply has been sniped and is slowly being sold on the community. Buying this is highly speculative coin might result in loss, and high due diligence is recommended. Yeah, something tells me if you bought a coin based on the due diligence that you know it was issued by a girl who's famous for spitting on wieners or something, you know, then I think that unfortunately you'd kind of like financial natural selection that was not meant to be.
Yeah, there we are. It's sad but true. Okay, and Nick, so this next one, this was from Avalanche. Can you just explain what the heck is going on?
So do you know Choose Rich, Nick? Do you know Choose Rich, Nick? So don't forget to choose rich.
Yeah. The guy with
not me, of course. You know.
No,
Choose rich like me, like another guy.
So this is the guy who I can't quite figure out whether he's genuinely the most obnoxious human being in the world, it's an act.
I think it's an act. I think he's very much like satirical play on crypto bros. Which, to be honest, the fact that it's basically in the corridor of uncertainty is a bad sign on crypto bros. But but it is. So basically, there was this, this tweet was up from Avalanche. Basically, the Avalanche, after Nick O'Neill, also known as Choose Rich Crypto, and his associates were asked to leave the premises of the Avalanche affiliated event. The Avalanche community is committed to all this kind of stuff, and everyone's copy-pasted this kind of thing. All these projects have copy-pasted this thing and created this marketing buzz around it. So it's interesting because I think that potentially it could be a marketing stunt. Also, what's pretty funny is Kobe's reply. For anyone that's out of the loop, he taped his penis to painted yellow to the wall like that banana art that Justin's son recently bought.
Wow.
But anyways, it's funny because, it's basically created a lot of buzz right now. And a lot of projects have jumped on this copy-paste concept, right, which is a pretty big thing in crypto Twitter sometimes. And it's interesting. Like I saw Nick O'Neill or whatever, Choose Rich Nick, posted a statement from his lawyer that seemed to have been crafted in a way that it seems like it could be a marketing stunt, but who knows? If it's not, then I would love to know what Choose Rich Nick did on this Avalanche yacht that got everyone so up in the air. Because if crypto bro standards already broken because of something that was done, like, wow, okay.
Yeah. Well, if it is a marketing stunt, it's worked because we're talking about it, and so seemingly so are a lot of other people. So, it's they credit to them, I guess. All right, so that's almost it for today, but we need to sign off with a special Coin Bureau announcement.
Special announcement, yes, indeed. This is the launch of yet another special Coin Bureau channel. Now, obviously, you guys have been following us for quite a few weeks. We relaunched the Coin Bureau trading channel. We've got Coin Bureau South Asia, which is a Hindi and Urdu version of our Coin Bureau, run by different creators. And last week, we officially announced the launch of our partnership with the guys over at Future Trends. Now, this is Jonathan and Des. We met them a few months ago and started discussions with them. They're a big channel out, one of the most well-known education channels out in overseas Mandarin-speaking countries. Okay. They're based out in Malaysia. This Coin Bureau by Future Trends have rebranded to Coin Bureau in partnership and collaboration. I joined them for the official announcement. We met them, of course. We've got a photo of it as well when we met them at Binance Blockchain Week. We talked to them.
Yeah. Nice guys.
Raheem, obviously, our COO, has been very involved in these, very involved in these discussions, and he brought them on board. And I was involved in they had a webinar 2 weeks ago. Where they had a lot of other traders on board, and over 1,000 people joining to listen to these guys speak, right?
Nice.
In perspectives on the crypto space, right, out there in that region. And they've got a lot of exciting things planned. So very excited to welcome them to the Coin Bureau family, Coin Bureau Future Trends. They're going to take our mission of crypto education to the masses out there. And the opportunity in Asia, right, for like quality crypto education is massive, right? And with these guys, they share our values and our, ethos. And this is why we partnered with them. So we're very happy to announce that. And we'll leave a link, obviously, to the Virtual Future Trends channel down below.
Yeah.
If you guys want to learn Mandarin at the same time as crypto.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say if you speak Mandarin, then it's the place for you. But yeah, if you want to speak Mandarin as well, why not kill two birds with one stone?
Exactly.
Check them out. Well, that's great.
Yeah.
Great to have those guys on board. So that is about it for this week. Nick, it's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure. Comments that we got? We not got comments?
Oh yes, we've got some comments to answer as well. Okay, Sailor just bought more 15 minutes ago.
Is that really the case?
Okay.
Wow.
There we are,
bro. I told you this is not a coincidence. What are the chances?
Yeah, three times from three now.
Yeah.
Sailor wakes up, puts on his orange dressing gown, sits down in front of his laptop with his Weetabix to watch the Coin Bureau live news and hits buy.
That blonde Safa and that British guy. Let's speak about crypto. They made me so bullish on crypto. I'm going to go and hit buy right now. Call up the brokers like, let's go and issue more shares right now. Go and buy some Bitcoin right now.
I like the idea that he's just sitting there with his cereal like, yep.
Yeah.
That's exactly what's happening.
That's probably it, man.
Okay, well, there we go. Keep it up, Michael. Any other? We got any other? Oh yes. Hey, GM, guys back without the pajamas. Let's celebrate. Yes, I saw a couple of comments on this last week. I wasn't live streaming in my pajamas last week, guys. I just had a jumper on. I was in my parents-in-law's spare room, their study, broadcasting from the UK. But I wasn't in my pajamas. I would not do that.
So that's a story.
I would not live stream.
That's the story you're sticking with, right?
I am sticking to it. I'm sticking to it like glue. Yes. Yeah, great to be back. Thank you, Pablo. Why is Nick? Yeah, speaking of pajamas, if anyone's pajama clad,
I feel like I feel like a bit richer today. It's like it's nice, like a penthouse vibe. I don't know, it's like it's comfortable as well, very comfortable.
Show them the trousers.
They've seen the trousers before.
Have you seen the trousers? Oh yeah, it's the whole. There we are.
There you go.
Look at that.
To be fair, it was a bit embarrassing coming in today when I had to walk into the office building and people are looking at me like, what the hell is going on here? It's like. I
mean, surely they just thought there's another
obnoxious Dubai crypto influencer with his LV shirt and all this kind of stuff. My God. And these guys, we got to start putting quotas on the amount of crypto influencers flying into Dubai.
Just a policeman will come up to you next time. I'm sorry, sir, you have to leave.
I'm sorry, you have to leave. We're deporting you right now, please. There's too much of this. It's shocking my eyes. Yeah. But I thought I'd do something different. Yeah, with something. Maybe next time we'll try something else.
Yeah. I just can't believe you used to work in TradFi.
Yeah, it's hard to believe, right?
It's
crazy. It's crazy.
That's Bitcoin Moonwalker. That's why I can't explain it. Gensler was brilliant for crypto. He enabled us all to buy low.
Yeah, maybe
interesting take.
Interesting take, or maybe he was secretly, on the crypto side, like one of those hidden heroes you don't hear about, never celebrate, and you realize I came in there just to destroy crypto's price potential so that you guys could accumulate it. And I destroyed Biden's chances of winning the election because the regulation by enforcement, and me and Elizabeth were actually on the good side, trying to get by Trump elected so you could enjoy these gains.
Do you think he was stacking XRP the whole time? Just every time some bad news came out about it, he just went and...
She goes, basically, he shorts on the way down, he goes and issues the lawsuit and then buys it and accumulates, and he's the hidden XRP whale.
Yeah, there we go. This is crypto, folks. You couldn't rule it out. Okay, next time, Guy, when you're going away, please take a good microphone. I thought I did have a good microphone. Oh, dear. It's not easy going on the road, I tell you. It's better off back here at HQ. Okay, lots of support for your pajamas, Nick. People saying, "Well, pajamas are just the most comfortable."
Oh, that's true, man. Yeah, exactly. And you got to be yourself. Just relax. You're not feeling stressed and all this kind of stuff. I don't know how you managed to do suits for like 3 years, bro.
I know. I know.
I left TradFi specifically because they said a dress requirement was to wear a suit, and I was like, after 2-3 years, I was like, I just can't handle it.
Yeah, but hang on a sec. It was your idea that I wear a suit in the news.
Yeah, well, yes, you were in the suit. I mean,
you were just projecting your anxieties onto me.
You know, I mean, it looks professional. I will not lie, but still, I don't know. It doesn't. It's not worth it in the end.
The people I have to work with, I tell you. All right, that is it for today's stream, guys. Thank you all so much for tuning in. It's great to see you. We will be back, of course, next week, and there's lots of content coming your way.
Likewise, and Michael Saylor, you can set your timer and then set the calendar.
Yep.
Back there, ready to buy.
Michael, enjoy the rest of your breakfast. Keep it up. See you soon.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Guy in pajamas today, it's almost like OnlyFans. Guy interviewing Ragnar Lodbrok on a Monday's peak entertainment, vote for Pedro. Guy will wear